Hello everybody, welcome to episode 20 of How to Play Like a WoW Pro. Today we're going to be taking a look at a replay with the EBR on Fisherman's Bay. First, I'm going to go over the equipment that I like to use in the EBR. I'm very experienced in the EBR. I have over 2,000 battles in it, and it's one of my favorite tanks. And what I like to use on it is CVS, Vents, Optics, and then Vents Directive on one loadout. And on the other loadout, I like to use Vents Directive, and then the Vents and the Optics, but then instead of CVS, I like to run Rammer. So then on like city maps or maps where I'm not going to be spotting people through bushes, I like to use the Rammer loadout, and on maps like Prokhorovka, Malinovka, Pilsen, and then Fisherman's Bay, stuff like that, I like to use the CVS loadout. So how I like to play Fisherman's Bay in a light tank is I like to take the mid. A lot of people, they'll play right here, and that's okay. It gives you a little bit better of an angle on people crossing into the city. But I like to take this position right here instead. And the reason why I like to do that is sometimes if you play here, an aggressive light tank can spot you, or you can just get lit from the bushes here if they have CVS or just high view range. And then if you get lit here, it's hard to get safe afterwards, because if you back up, a lot of the times tank destroyer back here or just one of the heavy tanks making their way into the city will hit you. And if you try to get safe by like pulling back on this corner here, then there's just angles through here that can hit you, and I just don't like it. So I usually play this position instead. And what you do in this position is you poke out, you spot through these bushes. If you have CVS, which I do in this replay, you spot anybody going to the city, you take a shot, and then you just pull into cover here, making sure that you're safe from this angle here and from this angle over here. Because there's a spot right here, there's a rock that people like to play at, and oftentimes if you pull out too far over here, then you'll get shot from over there, so make sure you don't do that. But as you can see, I'm kind of moving back and forth right now to look for spots on anybody who could be playing in this area here. But I managed to spot this guy going into the city, and I pen him. And I don't even get lit for it, which is very nice. Right now I'm looking for a shot over onto C1. Sometimes tanks will get lit over here by this rock, and then you can shoot back at them. But now I decided that there isn't much else I'm going to be able to do from this position, because these guys aren't really peeking as far as I can tell. It's just the chieftain there. And also, if anybody has crossed into the city, they're probably already there by now. So staying there is kind of not super useful. But what I see as an alternative is going to this position here, which a lot of people don't know about. This position is it can be very good. So the chieftain's not poking, so I know he's not going to be lighting me, so I know I can take my time to aim for a shot. Unfortunately I bounced though. But the reason why this position is so good in light tanks, and in some fast medium tanks like a Batchat or a Leo, maybe a Leo, it's kind of tricky to play in anything that doesn't accelerate very quickly. What you can do is you can pull out into these bushes all the way out to here. You can spot anybody who's playing on this corner right here, and then alternatively you can also spot people who like to play in this area here, and they're not actually safe there. Between this position and this position, nobody can stay safe behind this building, as far as I know anyway. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be trying to harass this chieftain. Now I'm seeing if he's only going to poke partway, because if he only pokes around the corner a little bit and his turret isn't poked around, then he won't light me, and then I'll be able to poke and shoot him. But I see that he pokes all the way, so I'm not going to bother poking and getting spotted for no reason. Now here I get a free shot. You have to make sure that as soon as you fire in this position, you need to get back into cover as quickly as possible. And so what that means is you need to be facing this direction. You can't be facing this direction. It's too slow to reverse into cover. You need to be going forwards. And really, even something like a Leo, you probably shouldn't play here. It's just too risky. Because what will happen is if you get lit after you fire, which you will most of the time, you'll get shot from this location right here, and from this house over here. And even from, I think you can even get shot from right here, behind this rock. But I'm just going to keep repeating this process of poking and spotting this chieftain and shooting him as much as I can. Because it's basically just free damage for me at this point. But I see that this Leo is actually poking around further than he should, so I go for a tracking shot there, hoping that my teammates would shoot him. Because if somebody overextends on this corner here, you can actually get shot from this sniper's nest right here where the Leo's playing, but unfortunately nobody hits him. Now here, I don't fire right away. I make sure I get as close to this corner as possible before firing so that I get lit halfway around the corner already. If I shot him when I was over here, then I would just be in the open and he would just shoot me back. But that's what this position is all about, is just poking, getting a free shot, and then backing off, and then repeating over and over again. So now I see that their tanks are kind of backing off. So I'm going to see if I can get a free shot in here, but if I can't, then I'm probably going to rotate and start trying to do something else. And what I actually notice is they're leaving middle. All of them are leaving middle. There's not a single tank middle. The only tank on lit is the 121B, and I don't think he's going to be middle. The E3 obviously isn't middle, and the T100, I guess he could potentially be middle, but he hasn't been lit so far. So what I'm going to do is move up and try to shoot these guys as they leave the middle, that is. So I get a free shot into their chieftain as I leave. And now that we're kind of winning the 1-2 line, I can play behind this house here just fine, and there's no threat to me. I wouldn't be able to do this if they had won the 1-2 line, because then they would be playing right here in this bush and they would shoot me. So the fact that we're winning 1-2 and the fact that they're running from middle is what allows me to play this aggressively. Now I'm trying to get a shot onto this EBR, but I take a bad shot. My aim is just not that good nowadays for some reason. And now I'm coming over here to get side shots on the tanks that are playing in the city. You usually are not able to do this. The only reason I'm able to get away with this is obviously because they left middle entirely, which is basically a guaranteed loss for them at this point. There I get shot twice. I don't want to get double tapped. If it's okay if I take one more shot, but if I get double tapped, then it's really bad because then I die. But now I know the T100 and the 121B are both somewhere back here, like in these two squares roughly. And I want to spot them for my team because right now we have a couple snipers here and a couple snipers here who are going to be able to shoot them. And so I know if I'm able to be the one to spot them, then I can get like 3,000 assistance or something like that, just instantly. And that's exactly what happens. I get like 1,500 right there. Now this is kind of risky, but I'm trying to play safe here at this rock and just get out lights from here. I know that the T100 was in A5 in these bushes here because he shot me and hit my wheel. Now what I'm keeping One thing that I'm paying attention to is the fact that there's a gap in this rock here, and I know that their Leo or their 121B was here. One of them was there. Or at least I'm thinking that one of them was there, or right here. And so I need to be careful from those angles. And so my thought process is right now is I want to expose myself to one side while keeping myself safe from the other side. Because if I happen to take one more shot, it's not a big deal because the tank that shoots me will get lit and I'll get all the assistance on them, especially if they're over here. So what I'm going to actually do is poke over here. And luckily, I don't get double tapped. They aren't paying attention to me. So instead, I just get all the spotting on them. And now I'm just waiting to get unlit. I know that their Leo was last spotted there, so I go for a blind shot. But he's not there. And now there's only 3 tanks left, and only 2 actually. And I want to just go in and get as much damage as possible before we win this game. Now pay attention to what I do here. I know that if I shoot him, he's gonna have the reload on me, and he's going to kill me unless I can get around the building. But even if I do get around the building, he's gonna hold the shot for me most likely, and I'm probably not gonna get any more damage on him. So what I decided to do instead is shoot him once and then just ram him as hard as I can. And as you can see, I get 400 damage from that ram. So it was 100% worth it. It was the safer play to make damage-wise. Because going for a second shot, I'm going to do just as much damage as I currently did, because I would have gotten the initial shot plus another shot, which is about 400. But with this play, the damage was guaranteed. There's no chance that he would be able to kill me before I do the damage. So yeah, 4,700 damage and 5,000 spotting. Pretty good battle. Hopefully you learned something about how to play the EBR equipment-wise, and hopefully you learned something about how to play Fisherman's Bay South Spawn, especially in light tanks. Not a lot of people know about this position here, so hopefully you learned about that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.